Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and what normally would have been episode 559 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. So actually 561. I figured out that how I will remember is say what the number should have been and then add 2 until I have all the episode descriptions matching up, and then I will no longer be lost. See?
Yeah, I've got a lot of production work to do today. Would you be terribly offended if I called you Jacques this morning?
Jacques, but not at all.
Well,
That's
the
very
toque looks like Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah,
The red
yeah.
toque.
I had it on. The only reason I'm going to take it off, but I had it on earlier, and just as I saw myself in the camera, I thought, it's like, hey, wait a minute. It's a blue shirt, red cap, not fully white beard, but getting there. So all of a sudden, I get my Papa Smurf on.
That or the zigzag guy.
Or the zigzag guy. You've got the profile, though, for the zigzag guy. More than I do. But it's like, but more, not like Papa Smurf, but more like, I don't know, Zaddy Smurf or something.
What does zaddy mean? I hear that all the time.
Papa Smurf.
What does zaddy mean, though? I hear people say that. Well, I hear women say, let me rephrase that. I read it online. I don't think I've ever actually heard anybody say it. What is zaddy?
It's like, well, you know, daddy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, sort of like a level up, you know, attractive and charismatic and fashionable. And
okay. So you put a
in
Z
certain
in
circles,
front.
you would be a zaddy.
Swap a D for a Z, and they say Zed. I don't understand. Like, I get the Riz thing.
I'm guessing, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. A dad with Riz, probably.
Okay. The Riz thing I get, short, charisma, Riz. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Zaddy, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a portmanteau, is it? It's one letter. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, so just call me Zaddy Smurf. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouncing him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. And he's wearing something pinkish, dark, lively pink. So I'm guessing, Mr. Grizzly,
Cerise, I think.
Good.
More cerise. More cerise.
Yeah, cerise. But in those tones that look very good on him. So I am guessing he's in a good mood today. But I will ask him. Today at the Beaver Lodge, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Mr. Grizzly, did I guess right? How's your mental health today, sir?
I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night, and I fell asleep almost immediately. And you had sent me a message, I think, at like 9:30, and I just saw it this morning. I slept, climbed into bed, fell asleep almost immediately, woke up around 12:30, looked at the clock, thinking it was like 4 or 5 a.m. Looked at the clock and I went, 12:30. that sucks, and went right back to sleep, thank goodness.
Good.
But then woke up at 2, 3, 3:30, 4,
Yeah.
5. Just
Yeah. As will happen when you go to bed at early.
well,
But
yes,
your body
yes,
needed it, though.
but I needed it, and I'm feeling mentally. I think I'm pretty good today, hopefully, and no migraine. Knock on wood. Yesterday's migraine was brutal, but I did manage to function a little bit, not very well. And so today I need to have a productive day because I got to get caught up. I'm behind on a lot of things. And look, you always got to take care of your health first, but it starts to affect my mental health when I get so far behind on projects that I have lined up. And then it just weighs heavy and starts to build on the anxiety. And it just, it's a hamster wheel cycle, which is not good.
And then you're the only way out of it is to go into how do you eat an elephant mode, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's where I am today. Yeah. One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Yeah, it's a over the past, as we've been mentioning, and kids who've been following the show know that we had a bit of a tougher year here, and it's not the way back is not a smooth line, right? It's not. I mean, it is slow and steady progress, but it's like a stock chart, right? There's like little dips every now and then, and then eventually some periods where things are going well for a decent amount of time, and then whoops, another dip, and but eventually, the trend is up. But yeah, when you get one of those moments, it's like where you just how do I put it? There's the hyper energy part, right? That can go with depression, and then there's the hypo
Yes.
energy part that comes with it. And it's like, well, um, I was doing something and I was missing one thing,
right,
to get it done. Is I could just on a normal day, well, I'm going to put on my boots and coat and I'll just get in my car because I
make
happen
it
to
happen.
have one and go down to Canadian Tire. It's, it would be an hour by bus. It would be, it would be like an hour to walk. It would be, 35 minutes by bus. It's just 5 minutes by car. Go pick it up, come back, finish the project. It's like, oh, God, I don't have it.
No energy
Well,
for
that's
that.
it. The whole freaking day's ruined, and then down you go, right? It's like you just have to go get it. Like, why didn't you just go get it? I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't think of it. Like, just the whole hyper and the energy just drains out of you part.
Yeah.
And then life goes on because life doesn't care.
True. It doesn't. It just
Right? It's
goes
like
on.
when someone in your family dies, life goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to pick yourself
Right?
up, dust yourself off, and start all over again.
I love that song. But but it accumulates. Like this, and then
Yes.
when you're down and you're looking up and sort of like, okay, I just have these things to do. Okay, I'll just give it one more day, and maybe okay, not today. But life keeps happening, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's like, oh God,
I'm
it's
so
like
far
even if I
behind.
find the energy to get up, I have to spend whatever energy I have doing this.
Yeah. Well, and some days, and for those of the folks watching or listening or in the chat right now that was watching this later on the replay, if you don't catch us live, because it is 4 a.m. in British Columbia right now. So, but for those who find themselves in a serious state of depression, some days every task is monumental. Getting out of bed is monumental. And I've had days where, well, here's the thing: when I was employed full time and going to work in the office 3 days a week, you get your routine. You get up, you get out of bed, you take your shower, you shave, you clean up, you get dressed. I take the dog out, we do the show, I go to work. I was able to do that. And then the weekend would roll around and the depression would hit hard in a way that I can explain to you that getting out of bed was a chore, but I did it. I got out of bed and I made a coffee. And I'm like, I need to take a shower. And I'm like, oh, it's just so much work to take a shower right now. You don't see it as an enjoyable thing. Taking a shower is one of the most wonderful things to start your day or end your day. I usually do daytime, nighttime, right?
Right.
Not lately, but
Yeah.
I'll take a shower after the show. But what I'm saying is, the depression hits hard, and things that were joyful, simple, joyful things like a shower, a hot shower, and wash, and then you do the cold rinse, and then you go back to the hot with the massaging head on the back of your neck, and then, this is wonderful. No, that's work. That's a monumental Sisyphean task when the depression hits hard. Everything is a struggle. And I'm sure there's people watching, listening in the chat right now who can probably relate to that. And when you go through it, it's absolute hell. It's absolute hell. And I mean, the medication does wonders to keep me from wanting to unalive myself. But there are days when the medication isn't enough, when it doesn't give you that extra little bit you need. So that's when you start doing things like what I'm doing right now, the elimination diet. Let's eliminate things that may be affecting my sleep. Let's start eating healthier. Let's cut out all alcohol. I'm going to avoid the foods, of course, that I'm allergic to because, well, that won't help at all.
Right.
But yeah, it's a process, and I have the energy today to get started on the process of making the changes. And I think, yeah, it's about time where I can go back to the gym, and it won't be super crowded with people who made their New Year's resolutions. And again, remember when I said this on New Year's Day, I support you 100% if you're in the gym. If your resolution is to get in shape and you start at the gym, and I hope you stick with it. I really do. I know how difficult it can be to get into the routine. Once you're in the routine, it's easy. And routine is good for most people, even ADHD people like me. I need routine. But what I'm trying to say is when you're struggling, it affects every aspect of your life. And right now I'm struggling. I am. I mean, I'm not hating myself. So that's good. That's where the medication really helps. I'm not hating myself, but I am tired all the time. And that is part of depression. It's just exhaustion all the time. The last couple of nights we've been sitting on the couch and Bridget's been trying to talk to me, and I'm kind of like, she goes, "What?" And I go, I can't help it. I'm just irritable and cranky right now. I said, it's you're not causing it. It's not anything to do with anybody. It's just the brain. When the depression hits and you're trying to make a cup of coffee and you can't get the filters apart, you're ready to throw the coffee machine out the window. Because you have bursts of anger, and it's got nothing to do with anything going on in your life. It's just your brain chemicals aren't working properly. So I'm not there. I'm just exhausted right now. So like I said, let's make the changes. I'm going to go to the gym later today. What will the workout be like? I'll probably just get on the bike for 20 minutes. If I can do that, that's an achievement. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to skip the gym today. I'm going to go out on the canal.
Skate.
I'm going to go out on the canal and get a skate in. That'll be cardio, and it'll be like being on the bike. It'll be a cardio
cold
exercise.
Air is good when you're ruminating because it grounds you back in your body and stops you from ruminating because you cannot.
That's what I'm doing. I'm going out on the canal tonight. There we go. Just made the decision, and I think it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference.
It will. Fresh air exercise, motion is good.
Yes,
just release a few endorphins, and that's always good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh well, I'm glad today is starting out as a better day.
Well, and here
we'll see where it goes from there.
I'll give you, because that was kind of some dark stuff. So here's a little for those of you watching at home. This is a baby giraffe, smiling, a smiling baby giraffe.
That is so cute.
If that doesn't lift your soul, I don't know what will. It's so adorable.
I'm melting. Okay, I'm going through the chat there. I'm going through the chat here, and Kit, my dog Sargoth, said Douglas does indeed qualify as a zaddy. Well, there you go.
That reminds me to ask you. I sent you one of these, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes, you
think, and you can try this after the show. I think you can plug that into your phone, right? And then use the hub. You can plug the mic in and a charger in, and it should charge and let the mic run. I think it will. We'll have to test the theory out.
Yes, that's a theory we could test. Okay, I like that. All right, let's see what else. My God, kids in the chat, you are talkative this morning. Jeez, wow. It's already gone through the first loop. We're only 60 minutes in. Yeah, you have a lot to say today. Finding it hard to keep up, actually. So if I miss anything, it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's just that it's going by so fast. Because, I'm talking and looking up stuff at the same time, right? Okay. Kids and Cubs, a lot happened yesterday. Really, really big day. Mr. Grizzly, did I send you the Mark Carney stuff with all the
Yes,
timestamps and
just
stuff?
give me a
Okay,
second
I
to
did that.
pull it up. Yeah,
Okay, so
I
before
just
we
saw it.
get to that, all right, before we get to that, so Mark Carney did announce yesterday. Karina Gould did not announce yesterday. So I'm guessing she
Shit.
probably had a moment behind the scenes going, "You prick." That was supposed to be my day. And Christopher Freeland is going to announce sometime before Inauguration Day. So Karina Gould is sitting there and is like, will you two just freaking commit to a day so I can find a day that's just mine and I can announce?" Probably somewhere in the back. But Mark Carney did announce. However, before Mark Carney announced, because the day was going to be about Mark Carney, and well, somebody in this country who we're discovering more and more, who's a lot like Trump, well, they couldn't have that. Just like when the Pope came to Canada to tell the Indigenous people that the church was sorry for the residential schools, somebody couldn't have that be the sole focus of the day. So somebody announced officially that they were in the conservative race for the leadership so that they could run for prime minister, which is not a thing, as
Not a
Mr.
thing.
Grizzly said. And there's going to be a moment in Mark Carney's presentation where Mr. Grizzly is going to go right up into the ceiling because Mark Carney also says something about running for prime minister.
Not a thing you do, Mark. Get the shit straight. If you're gonna come flying out of the gate, get it straight, man. Get it straight. Don't confuse the people.
Yeah. So yeah, this person well, he couldn't allow someone else to have a day. He had to put some counter programming. And you know that this is mere counter programming because he called a press conference. I guess he heard that Mark Carney was going at 3 and then he says, okay, well, I'm going to do something at 9 Pacific because I'm in Delta. And he had another one of his press conferences. And this one you could tell was hastily thrown together because when you have a press conference, you have a big time announceable.
Mhm.
And in this case, his announceable was something he hadn't said on record. So technically it was new, but it was probably the worst kept secret in political Canada. And it was that the Conservative Party does not support the capital gains tax increase. And that he would axe that tax too. Now, the capital tax gains increase has not passed into law. It's right now on the order paper. It's going to die. However, the federal government did believe it was going to pass and started applying it this year as if it did. So there's going to be a little bit of a retroactive mess unless the NDP actually really does care about taxing the rich or something like this. And when the session of Parliament starts again, finds a way or a reason to actually not vote down the government right off the speech of the throne and then lifts the filibuster to then pass the capital gains so that we can tax the rich and Jagmeet Singh can walk his talk. Unless something like that happens.
Which is very questionable. But if somebody says to him, are you going to put your money where your mouth is?
Yeah. But technically, there's no legal basis for it. So even though it's being applied and there will be a mess that needs to be cleaned up, it technically does not exist. So he's campaigning to axe a tax that doesn't exist. So he didn't really have. He really didn't have. And now it would be funnier if the Liberals hadn't started actually implementing it.
Yeah.
Right. But he's axing a tax that technically does not exist, but it's being
correct.
So he didn't have an announceable. So that's your sign that, ooh, I need clips today.
Well, that's why
because all the clips are going to be about Mark.
He's scared shitless right now. He's scared shitless because Carney is his superior in every possible way.
So I am actually not going to show you clips from this thing because I thought for sure how would I put it? When he came out on that Monday a while ago, exactly one Scaramucci ago, I believe it was, between press availabilities, after being in hiding for about 72 hours. So the prime minister steps aside. The next day, Trump says, yeah, let's bring him in by economic force. And he goes into hiding about 72 hours later, and the best he comes up with is hardly any mention of tariffs whatsoever. Right? Once on Twitter, we don't know if it's him who wrote it, saying Canada will never be the 51st state. And basically his pivot is, no matter who's running, I'm campaigning against Justin Trudeau because everyone is Justin Trudeau. Sign number one, that you only prepared for one question and no contingencies, and you can't pivot on the fly or think on your feet. So you're trying to reframe your package instead. Well, I've already done the work. Well, you now have a square peg in this round hole. Well, maybe if I just force it through. Yeah. It's not going to work, right? So everybody's Justin, and he wants a carbon tax election. He absolutely wants a carbon tax election. Oh my God, he's got to have it. Got to have it now. Go right now, Prime Minister. I know you said that you would step aside after you choose another Liberal leader, but here's something you can do all on your own. You can just step aside now as Prime Minister and have the election called now to make it easier for me, especially since the foreign interference report hasn't come out yet. But I'm going to be bold and pretend I'm being a leader and say, Prime Minister, you need to resign now. Save me. Resign now. The save me part he didn't say out loud. So he comes over here, and Mr. Grizzly, I just sent you an image, and there's something on the podium, right? So before I even start speaking, I see this on the podium. And it's like, oh my God, are you serious? This is what we're doing today. We're talking about this. Because what you have on the podium is the theme. So we've got all this going on in the world, and this is the theme he's got on his podium, Mr. Grizzly, if you will. What does it say?
Axe the jobs tax.
Yes, apparently the capital gains tax is a jobs tax. So it's not even a new tax. He's not even pretending it's tax. He's taking the capital gain tax that doesn't exist and is trying to rebrand it as an anti-jobs tax. That was his announceable. So literally, this is just for clips. Yeah, just for clips. So I watched it, and I was going to bring you clips, but I'm not going to bring you clips because there is literally nothing in there that's worth seeing. However, you need to hear a couple of things. So he starts off with a big lie. Big lie. Oh, and let's not forget, this is the thing I was talking about yesterday. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but that clip of Harper that you showed, Mr. Grizzly.
Yes.
There should be questions.
One would think.
Resulting from that, right? So surely they're going to ask him, your former boss just said that. Where do you stand? Now, he wasn't asked that outright. He was kind of asked it indirectly, given recent events. So, but he starts off with this big lie saying that Mark Carney was somehow in power over the last decade.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh yes, it's the Carney Freeland liberal government decisions of the last 10 years. So he's trying to take the last 10 years, even though Mark Carney only came in as an economic advisor formally in September 2024. Yes, the government may have called him to ask him for economic advice. Along the way, as any government probably would, someone who was a double bank governor of a national
governor
bank.
of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England.
Maybe
we should check a fellow over here who knows most of the stuff.
Yeah, you might want to give him a call now and then, right? So, but apparently
the guy who was appointed by Stephen Harper.
Yes. So apparently, the Liberal record is now Freeland and Carney's record. So Mr. Pierre Fast Talker trying to reband, but there's no substance. Then he lies again that the carbon tax is increasing to 61 cents per liter in 5 years. And I do not know why anybody never corrects him at all. Neither the media, neither do
They
other
let it go.
politicians. Nobody.
They just let it go.
Currently, it's about 17.61 cents, and it goes up 3.3 cents a liter annually. It won't even be going up 20 cents a liter total over the next 5 years, but he's claiming it'll be 21 cents, even higher than that. He has never shown his math. He has never been given a whiteboard and say, can you show us how you get to 61 cents, sir?
Well, this is what I want in the next press conference. Somebody to just say, excuse me, so you said 61 cents. Could you break that down for us and show us that? Because we don't have anything here that shows us anything even remotely close to those numbers.
It will be 37.4 cents in 2030.
In 5 years? Yeah. Per liter or per ton? How is it going?
Per liter on the price of gas. It'll add 37.4. He's saying 61 cents. And he's been saying it for a long time. And you'll remember when he started, he was always going to triple. And now it's quadruple. What's going on? The policy hasn't changed, but he's gone from triple to quadruple.
How does he get away with lying so much? How does he get away with it?
Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, wait. Oh, no, God, don't tell me he's talking about the capital gains tax, because I was thinking, like, what the hell's the jobs tax? Go, there's the angle. Because Ford came out the other day stating that there was some analysis done, and if the tariffs come on, there'll be 500,000 jobs affected. Can't remember if it was 5,000 jobs, 500,000 jobs in Ontario or in Canada all over it affected, but 500,000 jobs affected. Now, Doug Ford said 500,000 jobs max. That's a very, very, very bad idea in politics. When you're given the worst case scenario, the worst it will get max, I promise you. Again, if you want to make people laugh, if you believe in a higher power and you want to make it laugh, make a statement like that. Things can always get worse. So, but that was the big headline. So Pierre Poilievre was going to, well, the capital gains tax increase will cost 400,000 jobs. How? Over what period? Because the instant tariffs can cost 500,000 jobs pretty darn quickly. A marginal increase in the capital gains tax will cost 400,000 jobs over the next 300 years. Pierre,
so
what's your timeline?
There's a comment here that I want to. I don't take issue with this. The comment says 61 cents by 2030. Wakey. He has always said that.
Yes, he's always said that. 61 cents, but it's not.
We're not arguing with that. That's 5 years from now.
Yes.
It's not going to be 61 cents.
It'll be 37.43 cents
by 2030. Yeah.
In 2030.
So I don't see what I don't take issue with what Eric's saying. I just he says that, but what we're saying is that is not the case.
Here's the thing: it's 17.61 cents now.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 more. There's 6 more increases if you include the 2025. If you're including a 2030 increase, there's 6 more increases. How does it more than double?
Yeah.
How does it more? Well, sorry, it does more than double. So 17 to 37.43. But how does it go to 61? It's 3.3 cents for 3.3 cents times 6 does not equal 47 or 44. It just doesn't. So I like I said, nobody's challenged him. He never shows his math. So he's trying to change the channel here. Capital gains, right? That's all he's doing. But much like he did in his disastrous press conference of the other day, one Scaramucci ago, when he suggested carbon taxes increases of fewer than 20 cents over the next 5 years would be more damaging to the Canadian economy than instant 25% felon president tariffs on everything. This is just not serious. And he wasn't challenged on that either. It's just not serious. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Then he finally gets around to telling that the Conservative Party doesn't support a capital gains tax increase. So he works that in there somewhere in the middle. So he comes out of the closet for the rich. the closet door was like wide open when he was in there, and he thought he was hiding real good, but we could see his shoes, right? So, and he's rebranding it, his tax cut now, as the bring it home tax cut. Sorry. So then and in there he makes sure to take 2 seconds to slide in these words specifically, which is the extent of which he addresses this issue in his whole press. Random. He's in the middle of a sentence and he just goes, "My message to Mr. Trump is this." It was awkward because he had never mentioned Mr. Trump before in the press. So why would you have a message for Mr. Trump if you never put anything you said in the context of Mr. Trump? But just inserted it in there. "My message to Mr. Trump is this: Canada will never be the 51st state," and then moves right on to declare the liberal era of yada, 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 yada is over.
He has to say
literally the least he could say. Canada will never be the 51st state. Ooh, yeah, okay, so brave. My message is that, but not related to anything.
No.
In the press,
he has to say
just
it because
a line.
He said it.
But that's it.
But Gabe, if I can be frank with you, as in terms of the advice I'll give him, the advice I'll give the country, our desire as Canadians, we've had now for decades, to be strong and beside the United States, whenever we can be. That really is hinged on us believing that the United States is a friend. Not that the United States wants to conquer or annex Canada. But if the United States actually threatens the sovereignty and independence of Canada, Mr. Poilievre will be forced to take a very different approach to Canada's place in the world. As Mr. Trump said, force economically to join the United States. I just don't think that's an agenda. But if it is, if it were to be, then Pierre Poilievre, and frankly, our entire country has a lot of thinking to do.
He just publicly spanked him.
But that was before Pierre, right?
Yeah, it was before his press conference yesterday.
Okay, so you need to put a pin on this because what's coming next right now, this is, there's something going on. Now, this is the thing I wanted to say yesterday and 2 days ago and yesterday, and I forgot, but now that you brought him up, a lot of people are looking at that Harper thing and going, oh, this is a setup, he's probably like doing that to do the good cop, bad cop thing, whatever. Okay, fine. You can believe that, and maybe that is the case. Who knows? Maybe it's all a big setup. But the position that Mr. Harper is in right now as chairman of the IDU, he deals with the people who have the money.
Yes.
Emphasis on the thes in that sentence. The people who have the money. And rule number one in that very high stratosphere of the people who have the money is you never fuck with my money.
Yes.
25% tariffs on everything throws the business world, especially those who make their living in money.
They're pissed.
Like very much stability and predictability. Very much. The things that Trump is proposing is fucking with their money.
Yeah. So there's some powerful people around the world that are very angry right now.
Right? So, yes, it could be a good cop, bad, that could be, but this guy is literally fucking, listen, he bankrupted casinos. These people do not want him influencing global markets. These people really do not want him influence, especially since he changes direction on a dime. That is the exact opposite of stability and predictability. This gets in the way of the people who have the money making more of the money. So he might be setting himself. And remember, Trump thinks he's got it all. But those same 3 justices on the Supreme Court that he put there and are there for life and probably have a longer life expectancy than Donald does.
He's what, 78 or 79?
Yeah.
Not exactly the healthiest man in the world.
Yeah. And if you haven't noticed, a parallel story has been the Adopt a Justice program at the Supreme Court of the United States.
Oh, that. Yeah.
So all the people that adopt the justices have to do is say, you know what, we're tired of them. So when this case gets to the Supreme Court, even though you've been ruling that he's a king, this one's going to be the exception, right? How would you like a trip on a 60-foot yacht with a whole bunch of servants for 2 weeks down in near Tahiti?
Yeah.
Flown there on a private jet. Justice so-and-so. Justice Uncle Thomas. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
I'm not going to address that. Not doing it. Nope.
I got
Not
the
taking
pigment.
Yeah.
I got the pigment.
I'm getting a coffee. I'll be right back.
I got the pigment. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I have a feeling that this one might not be an act. So, Pierre Poilievre, we get to the question and answer part of the press conference, and he is asked if he would restrict or tariff energy exports, and like he did 1 Scaramucci ago when he was asked the question, but could get away with it because the developments of the last 11 days hadn't happened yet. Once again, he declines to answer the question directly and moves to pipelines, something the government of which he was a part of talked a good game but could never actually deliver. Just saying. And he's upset with the man who did. Just saying. He ends his answer by accusing the Liberals of dividing the provinces, not saying how, which I'm guessing is the tell, kits and cubs, given recent events, that he supports Danielle Smith. Which means no, he would not put export tariffs or restrict the flow of energy to the US, and he would not put that on the table. Because this is now the second time he's been asked. And the second time he's been asked is after Danielle Smith will not sign the joint communique after she spends 2 days in Mar-a-Lago. And then posts a whole bunch of weird Twitter stuff, which seems to... she posted a stuff that had a joint Canada-American flag sort of logo and then covered the maple leaf on it. Okay? Just to give you... Again, I don't know if they're thinking this far, but they're sending a whole bunch of really, really interesting messages with the way that they are doing their comms at the moment. But given that this has happened, now he's being asked the question, and everybody's wondering if, well, people just outright calling her a traitor. And he will not say, yes, I support putting everything on the table. He pivots away. That was the first question. Then he's asked about his reaction to the fact that Danielle Smith would not sign the joint communique. And he launches right back into the same answer as the first question. And then he goes and says he will quickly approve energy projects to send out our energy to the rest of the world. But we all know that between the time that those are proposed, financed, approved, because they keep on saying that we can send our LNG to Germany, but nobody actually wants to fund it because there's no business case for it. But by the time they're proposed, financed, approved, and built, even if you get rid of every environmental assessment, by the time all that's happened, our economy would probably be decimated.
Yeah.
So that's not a solution. He has no interim response. Well, we'll build all these, all these pipelines in these, transformation facilities and these, ports to send this gas off, and then we'll be fine. Yeah, but okay, let's say we go with your plan and we take all that money and we throw it all into the technologies of yesterday instead of the technologies tomorrow to boost our capacity to export the one thing that we seem to always pat ourselves on the back for being able to pull off the ground and ship somewhere. that you guys keep on telling us represents 10% of our GDP, but really it only represents 3.42% or something like that. Let's just do more of that. Let's become more efficient at doing that one thing. Just that one thing, nothing else. Just that. Let's throw all the eggs in that one basket. Even though a government I was a part of for a decade has shown absolutely no proficiency in getting that done when it had the chance. We had the most pro-oil prime minister in Canadian history with a conservative government in the pro-oil province in the country, and they still couldn't get 1 centimeter of pipeline to Tidewater built. They gutted environmental laws in order to be able to make it faster. They couldn't get one built. Trudeau got it done in about 7 years.
Yeah, that should tell you.
He's telling you that he has no interim solution. This is concerning. Despite the fact that the Prime Minister and the Premiers held a joint presser after their meeting yesterday, he's claiming each Premier is acting like their own Foreign Affairs Minister because we have no functional federal government. Clearly, that was a pre-written line from which he could not pivot away. And you could see that on the day previous as Power of Politics, because David Cochrane was going, it seems that the Premiers are going to have their own press conference and the Prime Minister is going to have their own. What does that say? And it turns out that after that entire meeting, they all had a press conference together, and there were jokes, and they were jovial and cordial and courteous with each other.
Imagine that.
So how did we go from they're going to have 2 separate press conferences and this is a sign, and you got the conservative pundit go, well, this is not surprising because the Prime Minister chose to leave his leaderless at this most inconvenient time, even though every time I've been on the show for the last 2 years, I've been saying he's got to go now. Yeah. How could he leave us now? So in that entire context, he's still claiming, after these events have happened, when they finally banded together, were you awake yesterday, sir? Because life happened between the time you wrote this a week and a half ago and today. Then media got bored with his attacks, and by the third question now they're asking him about a potential TikTok ban.
Which is happening on Sunday in the U.S., which is stupid for 100 different reasons why. One of them being all of the kids are switching to Red Note, which is based in China, and TikTok is based in Singapore. I can't
So
even.
they just want to find a way to sell it to Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. I guarantee you that's what it is. Elon will try and buy TikTok, or he'll
try to buy all the platforms.
Yeah, he wants to. See, this is the thing. You get a megalomaniac.
There's only the voice of Elon.
All the media, they control the message.
There's only the voice of Elon. It's not all the message. He wants to buy it. He's buying nations now, and he's buying all the communications platforms. There will only be a techno utopia where the tech pros turn us all into whatever tech slaves. We're all monitored and whatnot, and we produce.
What's the quote from William Randolph Hearst? You give me the pictures and I'll give you the war.
Yeah.
And that was the basis of
the
a James Bond film with Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, yes.
Dies.
Pardon?
Tomorrow Never Dies, I believe it was. Was it Tomorrow Never Dies?
I think so.
We just watched that recently, and that was the same basis. Yeah. It's all about making money off of people.
Yeah. So they asked him about a TikTok ban. So they're not interested in his announceable. They're not interested in what he's there. They're not interested in his attacks. Okay, you've done this twice now. It's like that. So tell us about the TikTok. They're not interested at all. And then the fourth question, because apparently he only takes 4 these days, and this is verbatim, just to clarify, do you support including oil and gas in any retaliatory tariffs? That's the question. No flowery, no setup, no direct, straight question. And he avoids answering it again by the same answer he used one Scaramucci ago, claiming Canada doesn't import that much oil and gas from the United States for us to tariff. But the question is about export tariffs, not import ones. And the question is about cutting off the flow or turning off the lights. Restricting flow or export tariffs. He only answers about import tariffs and then shifts on the need for Canada to transform more of its raw materials into finished products here. It was dry, it was boring, it was uninspired, it was lacking in energy and in enthusiasm. He didn't have an announceable of any significance. Literally, a media opportunity just to generate clips on the day so they're not all about Carney. And in that entire press conference, even though they asked him about the Danny stuff, they never once directly asked him any question whatsoever about, hey, Harper said this. How do you react? Do you agree with him? It was sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
They asked him nothing. They gifted him. So he's been now asked 3 times, twice in the most recent presser, does he support putting energy, particularly oil, on the table? And he cannot say yes. Danny was the first one, which means, again, something that I said a whole long time ago. Danielle Smith is actually the leader of the conservative movement in Canada, not Pierre Poilievre. And the war right now that you see between Danielle Smith and Doug Ford is the one that's going on. Pierre's nobody in this thing.
Well, yesterday morning at 11:25 a.m., he tweeted, "Let's have some fun. Every 20 minutes I will post quotes from Mark Carney supporting carbon taxes, including his demands that these taxes go up faster. That's why they call him Carbon Tax Carney." Hold on,
that's what you call him.
That's what you call him.
There's
That's
no they.
nobody else. And there is a string of tweets. I'm like, he's scared shitless of Mark Carney.
Yeah, and
he's really quaking in his boots about it.
And again, we are 3 days from the inauguration of Mango Madness, of Hurricane Orange. Everybody's going, oh my God, the sky's falling. And this guy, hey guys, let's have some fun and look at all the times the Mark Carney. Or counter proposal, you can get your freaking weird fingers on a cell phone and start dialing your contacts in the United States. So this guy is on, and this is really weird, the leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition, who wants to be Prime Minister of Canada, is literally the lapdog of Danielle Smith.
Yes.
He's following her lead. He cannot say. So now we have a very different situation here in Canada. We have the Premier of Alberta and we have the leader of the opposition who are on the same side. They cannot say that they will not take off the table our number one playing card in dealing with someone that threatened economic annexation against us. Both of these people cannot have power. If you are in Alberta, you need to be calling everyone you can, saying, if she is going to do this, if it is going to be 13 against 1, and everybody say 12 against 1, no, 13. The 12 premiers and the federal government, 13 against 1, the government of Alberta. That if this is going to be your platform, if this is what you're going to run on, if this is what you're going to be doing with your rest of time as premier, you did not run on this and you do not have a mandate doing this. You put this to a damn election. You do this now, girl.
She won't. But what did
Public
the PM
pressure
say just yesterday? He says premiers should be advocating for their own industries, their own communities, but they should also put their country first, as every single premier except Danielle Smith did.
Yes.
That was direct from the mouth of the PM.
We've got clip of that.
Yeah, I got the clip.
So she is not with us. And if she's doing that, people have more power than they think they have. They start calling the party apparatus and all the other MPs, all the MLAs, and start threatening them their jobs and start cutting off the donations and whatnot. They will push her out.
Oh, yes.
They will push her out if she starts fucking with their money. And right now she's taking a position that puts their money at risk. If the people rise up and say, no, they will push her out. She is not encrusted there. You can get her out.
And it's going to happen.
All right. But here, we also have the leader of the opposition who has been leaning in to Elon Musk's endorsement rather than repudiating them.
Mm-hmm.
We should find some ways to make him come over here and have some business and build those jobs here. And now cannot clearly say when asked directly the question, and again, I will repeat it because there was nothing ambiguous about this question at all. Just to clarify, do you support including oil and gas in any retaliatory tariffs? Any retaliatory tariffs? He cannot say. The answer is yes. Yes or no? Yes or no, Pierre? Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Combien?
Yes
Oui
or no?
ou non?
How much?
Oui ou non?
It's a yes or no question. Do you support it? Yes or no? And if you can't say yes 3 times, the answer is no. That's the news. We have disloyals among us. And one of them is the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, which clearly explains why it is that he does not want to get the security clearance. He does not want to root out foreign interference in his party.
Of course not, because he knows it's going to hang him.
I'm thinking not only that he hangs on it, I'm thinking he depends on it. This is behavior that is inconsistent with someone who is being harmed by foreign interference. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a problem. We have 2 problems. This is not good.
Yeah.
If you cannot say, yes, I support my country going into a negotiation and perhaps an existential battle.
He's never going to say those words.
Without one hand tied behind their back. Then you're not on our team. And it's not because we're saying you're not on our team. You're saying you're not on our team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not us saying, oh, you're not doing what we want. We're kicking you off our team. It's you who are openly declaring you are not joining our team. That's a whole other different kettle of fish.
Massive.
If you want to be on our team and we think, you're like, sorry, you're just not good enough to play, that's one thing. But if you are good enough to play, and you are both good enough to play because we see how you're playing the game for the other team, doing it rather well, rather efficiently. So you do know how to play. You just don't want to play with us. And not only do you not want to play with us, because not wanting to play with us is one thing. You're actually playing against us. You're hooking and slashing and spearing.
Breaking news. 1 minute ago, this was released. Christian for media released January 17th, 2025. Canada, Christian Freeland today issued the following statement regarding the Liberal Party leadership camp. I'm running to fight for Canada. To make the announcement on Sunday. Official launch on Sunday. This is right
so
from
soft launches today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now Karina Gould is swearing somewhere.
Yeah.
You soft launch on the front day and you're going to announce something. You just ate up the whole fucking.
Yeah. Well, the long and the short
Keep
of
on
all of
pissing off the quiet one. Keep on pissing off the quiet one. See what happens.
the long and the short of this is the Liberal Party, and I don't care if you vote for them, you hate them, or whatever, but the Prime Minister's resignation, forthcoming resignation, because he's,
Yes.
they have to choose a new leader, then he'll step down. His forthcoming resignation has sort of reignited the backbenchers in the party, and people are standing up. And like we said the other day, it's not a weakened party.
Mm-mm.
And I think his move of resigning has actually strengthened the party. Carney stepped up to the plate. I mean, look who's running to be leader. There's not a weak one in the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
The bench is deep. They've got 4 first lines. I think, when PE stepped down in 1984, landslide victory for Brian Mulroney and his Progressive Conservative Party, and the Liberal Party was all but decimated.
Right.
That's not going to happen this time, I don't think. I sincerely don't think it'll happen. Will the Conservatives form government? Possibly. That is a possibility. I'm never ruling that out. It depends on what the vibe of the people is. But here's why I think Mark Carney would be the best leader. This is my personal opinion, but I think he would be the best person to choose as Liberal leader because he doesn't have the country or a portion of the country hating him for the political things he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there are a portion of the country that definitely does not like Chrystia Freeland.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they can't say that about Mark Carney. Mark Carney kept us afloat in 2008.
Right.
He did good by the country and for the country. So I think in that sense, he would be the best choice. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Karina Gould in power. I really would.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this juncture, he would be the steady guiding hand that the country needs right now. And I think it would help the party as well. I honestly, in all sincerity, I think that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's face it, even if the Conservatives form the next government, if they have a strong opposition, that is good for Canada.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Now, if you're comparing...
I don't like a majority government ever.
Yes.
Right? It's not good for the country. It isn't. Now, that's different in the U.S. than it is in Canada because our system is completely different. But having a strong opposition is good for Canada. So even if the Conservatives do win the next election, and it's entirely possible they could, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But the thing is, I think if the Liberals form opposition government in the next election, which they probably will, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they get a landslide majority victory. Who the hell knows? You also have to understand what will the voter turnout be in the next election. I hope it's really high. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many variables at play here. But I think the party will be left in good standing with Mark Carney at the helm. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the vibe I'm getting. That's the feeling I'm getting. It seems to have gone from sort of a defeatist thing where, they have so many people who hate Justin Trudeau for no actual reason. They just hate him because he's destroyed the country. Okay, and please list how he's done that, and nobody ever can.
Yeah.
Nobody ever can. Well, the budget, let's debate that on a different day because you don't have any facts to back up what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, indeed. So if we go to the Prime Minister, I'm not sure which one do you have, the CPAC one?
Yeah, is it the CPAC one? Yes, it is. It's the CPAC feed.
Okay, cool.
It's
Then
2 minutes and 54 seconds.
Oh, you've got the short one.
Oh, is there a longer one?
Yeah,
I've just got a clip
okay.
where he's talking about Daniel Smith. That's the clip I have.
Okay, then I'll give you the long one, good sir, because I had 2 clips for you in there.
Oh, okay.
And, those are the ones for which I have the timestamps. So the first one, the timestamp I believe is 7 minutes and 46 seconds. because there was an opening statement by the Prime Minister, and this is in English and French, and then come the question and answers. There wasn't anything particularly noteworthy itself about the opening statement, but the question and answers you knew were going to be interesting today. So, so we'll do a couple, because this is I hadn't known that this was going on yesterday, and before I was going to bed, I saw a tweet. So, oh my God, Justin! And I thought, like, what the hell happened? So I watched this morning. And I was like, oh, that's what he did. So we have, again, the table, right? We have 12 of the premiers and the Prime Minister getting together and actually having a joint conference. There's a communique. Alberta doesn't sign. We have Doug Ford showing up with the Canada is not for sale cap, because we have them joking. We have Scott Moe and the Prime Minister joking. We have Scott Moe on Team Canada breaking away from Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
That too is kind of weird, right? We have all this going on. We have Danielle who goes her own way. So Premier going her own way. Then Mr. MGTOW announces without saying it outright that he's going his own way. And, we have this. And we have a Prime Minister that has no fucks left to give. Let's put it this way. So
very much so.
Here we go.
I think it was really important yesterday as we met with First Ministers from across the country that premiers have an opportunity to express the interests of their citizens, of their industry, of their area. Certainly, I don't blame Danielle Smith for speaking up for her industry. That's part of her job. But every single premier other than Danielle Smith then chose to put Canada first and say, but we're all part of Team Canada, because what happens to any part of us happens to all of us, and we will be there to respond strongly, to fight for Canada, and to do it in a united way that makes sure that it's fair across all industries, across all regions. That was what we came together yesterday to do. I would actually like to point out to Danielle Smith that Canadians know the importance of standing up for each other. That's why Canadian taxpayers bought the Trans Mountain Pipeline Expansion, TMX, to be able to get Albertan oil to new markets. That was an investment that all Canadians made, that the Alberta government is making billions of dollars off of, because in what was a very difficult decision, the federal government, we made the decision to purchase and build and complete that pipeline. That's an example of all Canadians standing up for Alberta and getting it done. So yes, premiers should be advocating for their own industries, their own country, their own communities, but they should also put their country first, as every single premier except Danielle Smith did. Now, I could point to any number of those premiers and point out lots of moments in which they have points of disagreement with me. From Doug Ford to Scott Moe to Tim Houston to even David Eby and Wab Kinew and others. There's all sorts of disagreements we're going to have. But when push comes to shove, every single one of them are Canadians first. And yes, they're going to look out for their communities, but they also know that looking out for all of us is what everyone in their communities expect us to do. And on top of that, I think it's very clear that right now, Pierre Poilievre, who wants to be Prime Minister for all Canadians, has a choice to make. Either he stands up to fight for all Canadians alongside all premiers and the federal government that are doing that, or he chooses to stand with Danielle Smith, Kevin O'Leary, and ultimately Donald Trump.
Michelle Molesky from CTV Windsor.
We can get back to that. We'll get back to that in a minute.
So that
she was asking if you're not seeking re-election. I'll back it up and we'll restart it when we rejoin that in a few minutes.
He's got his answer for that is fantastic too.
We'll come back to that in just a second. As I said earlier, there's a very good chance the Conservatives win the next election, whenever that is. See, it could be October. It's technically scheduled for October 2026 because it's every 5 years, not every 4.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the clock, it should be October 2026, but it could happen in October 2025. Or there could be a non-confidence vote, and it could happen in June.
Right.
We don't know when the next election is going to be because we don't know who the next Liberal leader is going to be, and we don't know who will be the next Prime Minister until there's a non-confidence vote or the next election. It's tough to say. If Mark Carney becomes the Liberal leader, he assumes the position of Prime Minister, I think you might have a change of heart amongst a lot of people. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong. But I think he is the right man at the right time. I honestly believe that because he is an outsider, and people go, he's not an outsider. He's never been in politics. He's worked with politicians, but he's never been a politician. Never. And remember who put him into power as the governor of the Bank of Canada? Reform
Noted
Party
liberal.
leader. Yeah, noted left-leaning liberal, Reform Party leader. Conservative Party leader. Reform Party under another name, former Prime Minister Stephen Harper put him in that position and praised him for what he did to save us.
And then to add on that, if people are wondering about Mr. Carney's profound and deep ties to the Liberal movement, then UK Prime Minister, Conservative Prime Minister Cameron brought him in and said, hey, why don't you be the governor of the Bank of England? So we're talking about and somebody said, well, he comes from a liberal family. Yeah, and most gay kids come from straight families. What's your point?
Yeah, exactly.
His mom was a liberal. He got some liberal on him at some point along the way. And here's one thing I want you to note, specifically about the difference between conservatives and liberals, kids and cubs. Liberals, hi there. Oh, I see on your resume you once worked alongside or with or for a conservative, and that you did the job exceptionally well and you got good praise, and you want to work with us now. Welcome to the team.
Welcome to
Conservatives.
The team.
Oh, I see that you helped us get through this and helped us get through that. Oh, but for 10 milliseconds back in 2008, you said something nice. I'm sorry, you got some liberal on you. You can't sit with us.
You can't sit with us. Yeah. And again,
but it's the Prime Minister who's divisive.
That's the name of the party, but they're not progressive and they're not conservatives. They're the Reform Party with a new label. That's all they are.
But it's the
people need to understand that, and they don't.
But it's the Prime Minister who's divisive.
Yes. Yeah. It's the Prime Minister who's divisive. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
You've worked with all other parties and you've done your job well, and you want to work with us now. Come sit at our table. You got liberal on you. Go somewhere else. You can't stay here ever.
Yeah. Well, and
the guy that says come sit at my table is divisive.
The amount of people that have dumped on the Prime Minister for, I'm going to say in air quotes, virtue signaling. And I'm like, okay, please tell me why virtue signaling is so bad. Well, it's because, no, that's not a reason. I don't like it is not a reason. I don't like him is not a reason. You see, the thing about virtue signaling is it sends a message to the rest of us to be better, do better, behave better, help your community. So if you have a problem with those things, I would say seek therapy immediately, because you are probably a self-centered narcissist. Probably. Not definitely, but probably. Think about your community, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your loved ones, the people you play hockey with, the people you play poker with, the people you curl with. That's all part of your community. And if your concentration is me, you may be a narcissist.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about being able to play well with others, the Prime Minister announced the members of his council, the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations, with such noted liberals as Jean Charest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
And Rachel Notley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Arlene Dickinson.
Yes.
Flavio Volpe. Brian Topp. Ambassador Kirsten Hillman.
Yeah.
I believe she was ambassador under Mr. Harper. There's a whole bunch of other people in here, but Progressive Conservatives, NDP, Flavio Volpe.
Good man.
Members representing a manufacturers association. Like Brian Tapaform. Didn't he run for the leadership of the NDP at one time?
I believe so.
He has no problem with people that had a little conservative or social democrat on them. Conservatives seem to have a problem. The Prime Minister doesn't say you once were another color. There's no way that you can speak for Canada or be of service to Canada, and there's nothing that you have a value to contribute, nothing that you say that we should listen to. Only one party is doing this. Well, two if you include the BBC. Well, not even the BBC, because the BBC is... If I wrote Pierre Poilievre and asked him to come on the show, he wouldn't. If I wrote Max Bernier and asked him to come on the show, he would. Max Bernier would still spout all whatever it is, but he would come on the show and have the conversation.
He would.
He wouldn't deem me beneath him to actually come and have an exchange. We probably won't agree on much. And he wouldn't come on the show and call me all kinds of names. Now, he'd maybe go back in his community and speak about people like me in ways that are unflattering. I don't think he would say it to my face on the show. I mean, you gotta be able to breathe the same air as people. Look, or else the problem's you, man. The problem's you. So, could you play the next answer there from the Prime Minister to ask him why he's doing this? Because that was pretty darn good.
Yeah, just a second here.
Because there's an expectation, seems to be in certain circles, that since the Prime Minister announced that he's stepping aside, that he should just roll over and die until that moment.
Well, yeah.
He's still got a job to do.
He's still got a job to do. Yeah,
because I said, the beauty of the Westminster system, we have a strong Prime Minister until the new one is sworn in. We are never leaderless. We are never lame duck. We never have a weak. If we have a weak government in any way, it's because the government itself is weak, but it has nothing to do with the position. Our system is enduring. Our head of state ensures continuity of government. Anybody who always says that, leaderless, rudderless, weak,
no,
that's a lie. No. It's an outright lie. This guy does the job the same way from day one, from second zero to the last second until someone else is sworn in. That's the job.
Well, and I notice a slight, ever so slight, because he never really ever looks stressed in the entire time he's been Prime Minister. I never saw him in a press conference where he looked stressed, even during the height of COVID. The only time I ever saw him look stressed was when he was asked a question about Trump's response, and it took him 30 seconds before he said anything.
Yeah.
And that was because he was trying to come up with a measured response.
Right.
But I think he's a little bit, look, the tie's loose. He's a little bit, the jacket's off, the tie's loose. I think he's a little bit relaxed because he can see the horizon. And on the horizon is a nice chair, with a cool drink in his hand, while the flag flaps gently in the breeze, and he has a paycheck in the other. I had to because it's funny. All right, here we go.
Windsor, thank you for taking our questions, Prime Minister. If you're not seeking re-election, you're not running in the Liberal leadership, respectfully, why are you here in Windsor? This essentially feels like a campaign whistle-stop visit of our wonderful city. Why spend all this money on security and travel if you're not campaigning?
The job of a Prime Minister is not first and foremost to campaign. The job of a Prime Minister is to fight for Canadians, fight for these workers who here in Windsor are more exposed to trade with the United States than anyone else. And being here to reassure members of unions, people on the shop floor here, that the federal government continues to be there for them and will fight for them in this incredibly crucial time where an incoming American administration is proposing tariffs that would damage not just people here in Windsor, but people right across the country and indeed in the United States. This is a time for a prime minister to show up and fight, and that is exactly what I'm doing. The fact that I have put aside the partisanship to a large degree right now so I can focus on fighting for Canada in the time remaining to me as prime minister is actually a comfort to many Canadians who know that the government that was able to steer us through the first challenges that Donald Trump put forward as we successfully renegotiated NAFTA, as we got him to lift off the unfair tariffs on steel and aluminum, will be there once again to pull together Team Canada and fight for Canada. So I'm glad to be in Windsor, and I'm going to continue to do my job as Prime Minister every single day, which is defending Canadian interests, standing up for Canada, and actually defending the most successful trading relationship in the world between Canada and Americans for the good both of Canadians and of Americans.
So I like T. Wigmore. What a stupid question. Sorry.
Right?
Having the PM drop in any time is great. Ask Poilievre why he was campaigning for 2 years with no election on the horizon. This is the question that needs to be asked. Like,
how was that even a question? Why are you even here? Why are you spending our money to be here? You're the media.
yeah. This is the stupidest question.
The government has a duty to report back to the people on what it does on its time and with its dime. How is this even a question?
It makes me wonder, it's like, what are they, who is this person right out of school? Or did they just hire somebody off the street? Because that was the dumbest question. And like that, I can't believe she actually said that. That is the stupidest thing I've heard in a long time. Well, about an hour, but you know what I mean.
Hey, wait a minute. I was talking an hour ago.
No, I'm monitoring stuff
Hey.
on my other monitor over here. I'm watching news feeds, okay? I watch
You
news
just threw
feeds.
shade. You
No,
just threw shade.
Not at you. Mm.
That's like that thing we showed you. Oh my God, must be a while ago. It was my friend Justy who like caught that clip from The Wizard of Oz, where Glinda goes, "Are you a good witch or a bad witch?" He says, "Well, I'm not a witch at all. Witches are ugly." Oh, wait a minute. Why did you ask me if I was a bad witch? Glinda got a little shady there.
Oh, remember, fellas, if the ladies don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
So yeah, like I said, I don't understand how that's even a question in any way, shape, or form.
What a waste of time. What a waste of an opportunity to ask a serious question.
Okay.
And that's what you ask.
The Prime Minister's most valuable asset is his time.
It's like, wait a minute. We know he's stepping down. Why would you? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Let's
So,
go to the next question.
Okay.
Taylor Campbell with the Windsor Star. Mr. Prime Minister, with the threat of possible tariffs looming, what is your message to Windsor Essex workers in the agriculture and the automotive sector who will be devastated by those?
That's a question.
My message to workers here in Windsor, and I spoke with them today, and I spoke with a number of union leaders as well, is that we understand how integrated the economy here is in trade with the United States. And we understand how integrated the economy in the United States is with Canada. Anything that thickens the border or imposes penalties or tariffs between our two countries will hurt Americans as well as Canadians. And our first argument is that these tariffs should not move forward. The incoming administration expressed concerns around the border that they link to tariffs. So we got to work in, first of all, demonstrating that the Canadian-U.S. border is a source of strength for our country, that it is something that is not the source of challenges for the United States. Indeed, half of 1% of the fentanyl going into the United States come from Canada. Half of 1% of migrants into the United States come from Canada. Borders are not the issue, but still we put in over $1 billion to upgrade and strengthen our border processes to prevent the flow of illegal goods and people in both directions, because that's something that the circumstances require. But we're not just fighting for good jobs here in Windsor, Essex. We're fighting for good jobs right across the country, because if these tariffs move forward, there is no corner of Canada or of the United States that won't be negatively impacted by Donald Trump's decision to raise prices on Americans.
Okay, so that's in French there. I think the next one I had was around 12 minutes something. Hold on.
We're well past that.
12:34?
We're at the 16-minute mark.
Okay, then those were the clips that I had highlighted. I don't know if there's anything else there for anything. But with regard to the Prime Minister, that's what I got, because I want to move over to the big news.
There is one more question here. I'm just from CBC Windsor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll bring it back and we'll show that, because it's I think it's an interesting response. We'll more clip from this press conference.
Prime Minister Jennifer LaGrassa with CBC Windsor. As you reflect on your legacy, how do you feel knowing that the consumer carbon tax is all but dead?
I am not spending any time right now reflecting on my legacy. I'm very much focused on continuing to do the work as Prime Minister. We are facing significant challenges to our economy from south of the border, and we are fighting for that every single day. We're facing increasing challenges from climate change at home and around the world. And we're continuing to step up by having moved forward on a price on pollution that not only reduces emissions and incentivizes green investment, but puts more money in people's pockets right across the country. Future governments will make the choices they make, but Canadians can know that it is possible to both fight climate change and put more money in the pocket.
There you go. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. This is me
and that question,
in a nutshell.
Yeah. And that question is significant because both Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney made news yesterday by saying that they would step away from carbon pricing as we currently know it.
Yes, they both said it.
They both said it. So Pierre is now in a situation where he's got no Trudeau and wants a carbon tax election in an election where nobody, probably with the exception of Elizabeth May and maybe Yves-François Blanchet, will be fighting for the carbon tax, because Jagmeet Singh's already turned his back on it too.
Well, I'm posting a link to his tweet thread about Poilievre. Every 20 minutes I'll post a quote from Mark Carney. And now I want to show you something that I think is hilarious, right? So I'm going to put this on the screen because it goes right in line with that. It'll be really quick. This is saying it shows his tweet. Every 20 minutes I'll post quotes from Mark Carney. Carney supporting carbon taxes, including his demands that these taxes go up faster. Carney's already backed it, but it said it will take 20 minutes to read Mark Carney's accomplishments compared to yours in 20 years as an MP and Harper cabinet minister. That's truly pathetic. And then somebody says, a banker does not make a PM. Neither does a paper boy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A member of parliament for 20 years with zero accomplishments. Zero accomplishments in a 20-year career in politics as a member of parliament. And he was a cabinet minister.
Yeah.
Zero accomplishments.
Yep.
Sean Fraser has how many accomplishments in what, a third of the time?
Right. This is who they tell us is the best choice to lead the country. All right, so now we move to what we all came here for, Mr. Mark Carney. Now, here's the thing, right? Mark Carney had an incredibly good debut
Yes, he did.
on The Daily Show. Incredibly good debut. So much so that I don't know if the numbers are out yet, but Frank Graves, who's a pollster, was out there saying that he had seen some action already in that which he was surveying, and that he found it rather impressive, actually, and that he would have more to come soon. I'm not sure if he had actually published the more to come soon yet, because I've been waiting for it. It hasn't crossed my feed yet. But yes, he definitely has seen certain things that he found quite interesting in some trends. So we might be seeing a quick shift in some polls. Now, before that, there was some things indicating that just from the resignation alone, and maybe seeing someone new or something new, that you might have um, a bump of about like 5% or something. Um, but the way that he was talking about this seemed to be that it was a little more. So we will start with Mr. Carney. I believe where I put the opening is at 9 minutes something, and it'll just be George Shahal introducing, because he's in Edmonton, and well, there's only two Alberta MPs who are Liberal, and there's only one you can be seen with at the moment. So George Shahal got the job. Now, again, I'm not saying that he doesn't really fully support him, and I'm not saying that Mark Carney, but let's put it this way. If people are going like, why did Mark Carney get the thing from him? He's toxic, about that. There was nobody else.
There was nobody else. Huh?
Just so you know.
It is my pleasure to welcome the son of Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, the child of Edmonton, Alberta, and the man to lead us into the future of Canada, Mr. Mark Carney.
He is really excited to say that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm touched. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Irene, fellow FX grad. Thank you all. Welcome to Edmonton. It is great to be here. My name's Mark. I was born in Fort Smith, and I've been in the room next door many times. You know, picture this scene. Pack of kids, team of kids, mites and house league, go in there, get their gear on, go out on the ice. You're back in between the second and third period to warm up, and I can still hear the blades of the skates tapping on the floor as we try to get the blood flowing into our toes. I don't remember a January day like today in Edmonton when I was playing hockey, I'll tell you that. Now, I wouldn't have been there if it hadn't been for the love and the support of my parents. That was unwavering. It was also supported sometimes by my brothers who are here today. And I wouldn't have been there without all of the volunteers who coached the team, who built the boards in the fall, who flooded and scraped the ice, and who drove us across the city to rinks like this so we could beat our opponents from Elmwood to Rio Terrace, Jasper Place. You're all here and you know it. You can't say it. I got the mic. I'm going to just assert that we did. And you know, community is one of the main things when I think of Edmonton. My communities, Laurier Heights, the West End, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Communities where people come together to face challenges in support of one another, to get things done, and to build. And that's who we are as Canadians. La communauté, c'est à ça que je pense quand je pense à Edmonton.
And his French is okay. It's a little slow. There's every now and then a pronunciation thing, but it's pretty good. Now you will notice, and here's the thing that concerned me when it first started. The pauses were a little long. It's sort of like, I don't know if he had a teleprompter or not. Doesn't look like
he was
so.
looking down at notes frequently.
Yeah,
there, so.
exactly. It doesn't look so, because I was saying if he had a teleprompter, it was set on a little slow. And so here are the different things between being on TV and having some media training and then doing live politics. And this is where people are wondering sometimes, will he have the stuff there? Right. The next one, yeah. So in French, he says the same thing about his various communities, and then he then goes on to say, when he talks about communities coming together to support one another, he goes, and that's who we are as Canadians. My generation of Canadians is lucky. We had an ordinary life, good times, times of peace and prosperity. The system that our parents had built for us has worked well for us. And then he continues in English. So he's showing bilingual proficiency he repeats a little bit, but then starts a new segment that he did not say in English, only in French, and then leads into a sentence. The system that our parents had built has worked for us, and then switches mid-sentence or mid-thought into English and continues, which is an incredibly good sign of bilingual proficiency. So he might have it.
Here's the example of that right there.
Ordinaire. Bon temps. De temps de paix et de prospérité. Le système que nos parents ont bâti, il a fonctionné pour nous. But those good old times, my friends, are over. Our times are anything but ordinary. The system, it's not working as it should. And it's not working as it could. People are anxious. No wonder. Too many are falling behind. Too many young people can't afford a home. Too many people can't find a doctor. And then we're living through the two biggest technological revolutions since they split the atom. And our climate is changing in ways that threatens livelihoods from Fort Mac to Fort Smith. And then on top of that, as George just mentioned, in just 4 days, the United States will swear in Donald Trump as their 47th president, a man who threatens economic force on his closest, most steadfast allies, including Canada. Non, cette époque n'est pas ordinaire. C'est pourquoi nous sommes ici aujourd'hui.
So he then does it again, flips into the sentence. So he goes into French, says, no, this era is not ordinary, and that's why we are here today to do that which we, the people of Edmonton and the people of Canada, always do in difficult situations. We pull together, we make a plan, and we fight. Then he goes back to English.
I'm here to ask for your support. I'm here to earn your trust, to lead that fight. I'm back home in Edmonton to declare my candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada. Je suis ici. Merci. Je suis ici. Je suis ici pour demander votre appui
So he says it in
pour
French.
gagner votre confiance et mener ce combat.
So if we can go to 1654, it's just a little further up. He then goes on and explains why it is that he is doing this. Because, I mean, this guy could have any job he wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing this because I love our country. I'm grateful for what our grandparents and parents built for us. I'm proud of what we've built for each other. A great country built on hard work and the right values. I'm doing this because Canada is the best country in the world, but it still could be even better. I'm doing this because we face unprecedented challenges. And as I learned on the ice out there, when it's cold, when your opponent is tough, you have to step up. Now, I know I'm not the usual suspect when it comes to politics. But this is no time for politics as usual. No, it's not the time for lifelong politicians such as Pierre Poilievre.
Shot across the bow.
Politicians with bad ideas.
Boom.
Naive and dangerous ideas.
Boom.
And I think the worst, his worst, is that Canada is broken. Canada's broken was one of Pierre Poilievre's many three-word slogans. And it couldn't be more dangerous. Now, in the UK, I saw firsthand what happened there after years of Conservatives shouting that their country was broken. Conservatives don't run around saying Canada's broken because they want to fix it. They want a license to demolish and destroy, including many of the things on which we all and regular people depend. Because populists don't understand how the economy and our society actually works. Their three-word sound bites won't solve problems, but they will hurt regular people. And there are many, many, many differences between me and Pierre Poilievre. But I'll give you a big one. Well, I'm focused on building our economy. He's out chasing endorsements from Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Il existe beaucoup de différences entre moi et Pierre Poilievre.
He goes into French.
Laissez-moi vous en dire.
We can go forward to about 2043. In French, he adds what he doesn't say in English here. I will remain focused. Sorry. My mistake. I jumped ahead. I read the wrong line. Canada is a nation of freedom. You can say what you want to say, of course, be who you want to be, and love who you want to love. I agree with Jean Chrétien. Canada is the best country in the world, and with both appropriate leadership and an appropriate plan, our potential is limitless. There's also an old tweet from Mark Carney saying that he's full all in on a woman's right to choose that has been circulating. He's found a new life as well. So if anybody's wondering about his stance. Now here comes some news. Like the news, obviously, is that he's running. That's the headline. But everybody knew he was going to announce that. This is some of the news because, right, you got Pierre going, well, Justin Trudeau's record is his record, Carney's record. I mean, he agreed to work for him in September 2024, which means he agreed with absolutely everything Justin Trudeau has ever done since day one. He wears all of it. He needs to create some distance between a few things, right?
Yeah.
And they're all Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is the most left prime minister we've ever had. So he's got to push back against Justin Trudeau, and he's got to push back a bit against the left. So he gets there's two things he does, and there's a section in there. So we'll do 2043 to 2306. and then we'll stop. He'll go into French a little bit, and then I believe that he then goes in for actually, you know what? Let's just play it because I think he takes a dig at Danielle in French, if I'm not mistaken.
Just as Pierre Poilievre's soundbites won't deliver for Canadians, we can't achieve our full potential with the ideas of the far left. They too often see government as the solution to every problem, with a reflex to spend and subsidize that just treats the symptoms of the problems, but doesn't cure the disease. We can't redistribute what we don't have. And we can't support the vulnerable in our society or defend this great country if we have a weak economy. And I'm here to build the strongest economy for all Canadians. Together. And build it together. Yes, Canada needs change, but not just any change. We need change that works for people, and we've never needed it more. So if you remember one thing from what I say today, remember this. I am going to be completely focused on getting our economy back on track.
Direct appeal to New Liberals.
And if you wonder why I can succeed where others have failed or will fall short, consider this. I've helped manage multiple crises, and I've helped save 2 economies. I know how business works, and I know how to make it work for you. I've worked around the world, but I'm grounded in what I learned right here in Edmonton. To be responsible, to be fair, to stay humble, to work together, and to never, ever give up. Now, I know I'm not the only Liberal in Canada who believes that the Prime Minister and his team let their attention wander from the economy too often.
Interesting comment.
I won't lose focus. Je vais rester concentré parce que je comprends comment fonctionnent les marchés. Je connais les forces et leurs faiblesses. Quand les marchés sont bien gérés, ils livrent des emplois et de la croissance mieux que quiconque. Mais je sais aussi que les marchés sont indifférents envers la souffrance humaine et aveugles à nos plus grands besoins.
Okay,
I need to
we'll
make a
stop there for
comment
second.
here. I need to make a comment here just before you do the translation aspect. Because my French is, when I speak it, I sound like I'm a francophone because I do accents well. But my understanding, if people speak so fast that I'm like, what? He speaks it slow and clear like a Belgian would. I can almost understand everything he's saying, which somebody might go, well, he doesn't speak. And I go, no, are you kidding me? Those of us who are trying to get better at French, that's what I need to hear more of because it's easier for me to understand. So I think this is a positive. My opinion only. I think it's a positive.
It is. Now the question will be in a casual debate conversation going against Blanchet.
Yeah.
Right. Or
that's where the proof is in the pudding, right?
Right. They'll be so. It's how fast can you think on the feet and your words come to you? But in this type of setting, his mastery is more than good enough.
Yes.
Way more than good enough. So he says again the same line as he did in English. I will remain focused because I know how markets work. I know, but then he continues on and says, I know their strengths and their weaknesses. When markets are well managed, they deliver jobs and growth better than anything. But I also know that markets are indifferent to human suffering and our most basic needs. If markets are mismanaged, they will deliver enormous riches to a few lucky people and hard times for everyone else. Now, this section here, when I took the notes, I put double asterisks next to it because this is good. But notice how he's taken distance, right? Got to push back against the far left is because
Yes.
they treat the symptoms and not the problem. And you can't redistribute what you don't have, and pushes back against Trudeau because you may have lost focus on the economy. I won't. So all of this is to all the people that turn around and say, they're true left, they're wasting their money, they're blowing it, whatnot. This is a direct appeal to them. Now, that's what he's doing now. That doesn't mean that everybody that's on the left and has issues, that he's abandoning them. They'll probably come in with more policy, or he will, the way he did on the Daily Show, right? Or not the Daily Show, the Prime Minister did when he talks about daycare. They say, well, that's woke. It's like, it's not woke. It's to get more people into the workforce policy, right? This is
It's a good
typically
policy.
so. This guy has the ability to reframe these types of actions in this way. Remember, he was the UN special envoy for climate action and finance. So everybody that says, oh, he's going so hard, right? He's not going to do anything on finance. No, he's going to do stuff on climate change, but he's going to repackage it and sell it like it's a right-wing thing.
Well, and as I've told you folks on this program in the past, some of the biggest power brokers in this country are all in on green tech. Full in. And now some of the largest oil companies are looking at green tech too, because they realize there's some cheddar to be churned. There's money to be made.
And that ultimately they're not oil and gas companies, but they are energy companies.
Correct. And it was an oilman in the U.S., in Texas, who said, we're putting up windmills, we're doing this, we're putting up solar. And they go, we thought you were an oil company.
Planting corn.
He says, no, we're not in the oil business, we're in the energy business. And any energy that can generate a net profit is good. And because solar power is now cheaper than anything else, because it took a while to scale up and get more people on board and believing in it, because solar power has become so cheap, it's surpassing oil as we speak.
Yep, the economies of scale are there now.
Yes. It took longer than it should have, admittedly, because there was so much pushback from the oil companies. But now that the oil companies are going, wait a minute, we can make money on this? They're all in.
Yep.
They're all in.
All right.
And yes, Environmental Coffee House, her comment here. Exactly, Paul. The billionaires are going to invest in whatever makes them money.
Right. And now it is profitable. There is now a legit green industry that can stand on its own. And there are players in there who also have the don't fuck with my money attitude.
Well, and I used to have conversations with a cousin of mine who was talking about cellulonic ethanol, and he goes, we need to pivot. And I go, I agree with you, we do, but we can't do it overnight. We've got to get to the point where it's cheaper. For me? Oh, thank you. Yes. Sorry, it's cheaper now. If now it's cheaper for us to do the thing that needs to be done, and that's to go with green tech. At one point in time, it was too expensive. I said, until you have the infrastructure in place where green tech can take over or supplant or work side by side existing tech, until we have that, we can't make the switch because it will take too long and cost too much money. But it's taken. This is 20 years ago we had this conversation. Well, now we're in a position. Oh, hang on, I got a dog here. Now we're in a position. You can still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Lola, good girl. Now we're in a position where green tech is profitable and it's growing at an alarming rate, which is good. Because when oil companies start to switch to green tech because they realize this is the direction we need to go in, we need to go where the puck is going, this is going to change the world for the better. Now, oil is not going to go away. It can't go away. Even if all internal combustion engines for all vehicles switch to electric over the next few years, we still need oil products. You ever been to a hospital? You know how many petroleum-based products are in a hospital? Hell, everything I'm looking at on my desktop right now is petroleum-based. Plastic is petroleum-based.
Right. Right. So, I mean, there's still going to be a need for the industry and somehow, but
in manufacturing products require lubricants, right? It's like,
right. Okay. 2420, Mr. Grizzly. There's some really juicy stuff here.
Just a second here. 2420. All right, here we go. Let's have a listen to Future Prime Minister Mark Carney.
As your leader, we will offer Canadians a clear choice in the next election. Experience versus incompetence. Plan versus slogan. Calm versus chaos.
Well, that was another mic drop.
We have to give Canadians that choice because, let's face it, even if Donald Trump and the threat he brings didn't exist, we'd still have big problems.
Bingo.
Our growth has been too slow.
Yes.
People's wages are too low. Necessities like groceries and rent are too expensive for too many. The federal government spends too much, but it invests too little. Middle-class taxes are too high. And we're not yet ready to make the AI revolution and the energy transition work for all Canadians. So in the coming days and weeks, I'll propose some big changes and some bold new ideas. And I recognize, I understand, that's not how politics is done these days, when lifelong politicians rely on slogans and slander and sound bites.
Holy shit.
But once again, these are not ordinary times. Let me tell you one other thing. In these times, sending Pierre Poilievre to negotiate with Donald Trump is the worst possible idea. I can think of one other politician I might not send. It just came to me in the last 24 hours.
Is that a shot at Christopher Freeland?
Danielle Smith.
Oh, Danielle Smith, right, yes. Sorry, yes.
À mes collègues libéraux qui m'appuient déjà. Merci.
In French, so we'll skip that part. What he says in French here is, to my Liberal colleagues who have already declared their support for me, thank you. Thanks to all of you, and thank you for being here. Who are considering giving their support to another, those of you who are considering giving your support to another candidate, I understand and I respect your choice. We wear the same team jersey, and I will work arduously to gain your confidence and support. And to all Liberals, I am aware that our party is trailing on the scoreboard, but we are now fully warmed up, and we're about to start the third period. Probably in some English comments, you will hear something similar to that, because he does mention it later on. If you go to 2716, Mr. Grizzly, you notice in the previous answer that he said, yes, we have all this stuff about Trump, but even if it wasn't for Trump,
I want to say how grateful I am to the many, many Liberals, many Canadians. There aren't all the Liberals yet, but
winning
part of the process. The many, many Canadians who have reached out and are already helping and have offered help. And to my fellow Liberals, I commit we're all wearing the same sweater. I'll work hard to earn your trust and your partnership. And I'm coming into this match, coming into this game, knowing that we are well behind. But we're getting warmed up, and we're going to head out in that third period, and we're going to win. Because that's what happened when I grew up in Laurier. And we were down between the second and third period. And the fight back starts now. We are going to win the general election.
Quick comment here. You know what? He's almost taking this as a Sunny Ways approach.
Yes. And notice that we're going to win is not boastful.
No. And here's why I think this messaging is important. When you've had 2 years with the current leader, with Scheer and then O'Toole. Well, Scheer's an idiot. O'Toole, he was trying to bring the party back to the center, but he made a lot of mistakes, and I think he listened to the wrong people.
Yeah.
But under Pierre Poilievre, it's been nothing but doom and gloom for 3 years, even before he became the leader. He was doom and gloom. Canada's broken. It's broken. No more mandates. No more. The man is anti-charisma.
And incapable of being happy for us in any way.
Incapable of it. Absolutely incapable of being happy at any wins this country makes. If it's a win and it's in the Liberal column, it's bad, and here's why. But so pharmacare, dental care, $10 a day child. He voted against all of that, remember, folks. He voted against all of it. Matter of fact, let's take a look here at what he voted against. So under the Liberal government, the government of Canada, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Child Canada tax benefit lifted over 650,000 children out of poverty. Pierre Poilievre voted against the Canada Child Benefit. They created the $10 a day childcare spaces across the country. Pierre Poilievre voted against it and called the $10 a day childcare a slush fund. Canadian government introduced the Canadian Dental Care Plan to help up to 9 million uninsured Canadians. Pierre Poilievre voted against the Canadian Dental Care Plan. Taking real climate action while putting more money in Canadians' pockets. That's the carbon regulatory recovery fee, or as people call it, the carbon tax. Pierre Poilievre has voted against climate action over 400 times. Under the government of Canada, led by Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, they lowered the retirement age back to 65 and boosted benefits for seniors. Pierre Poilievre helped to raise the retirement age from 65 to 67. And I remember when they first brought that policy, and I go, well, it's 2 more years. And then a friend of mine who was 2 years from retirement looked at me and said, it's 4 for me now. I was looking forward to retirement in 2 years. Now I got to wait 4. I went, yeah. He goes, 2 years doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're at the end of your career and you want to hang your hat up and they're going to make you work for 2 more years, you're going to hate the next 2 years of your life because you don't want to be there anymore, because your whole life you were looking for that number 6-5. There it is. It's right there. It's on the horizon. I get it 2 years from now. Oh no, we're extending it by another 2. And I went, oh shit. Yeah. And now that I am rapidly approaching the age of 65, I'm thankful it was dialed back to 65.
Yep, I hear you. All right.
But that's not the point. The point is what we do when we win the general election. And that's to get out there and work for our fellow Canadians every day. It's to get out there and build a strong economy that works for everyone. It's coming together to stand up for Canada against Donald Trump. It's coming together to build an even better Canada. Je sais qu'il faut bâtir des ponts qui nous unissent.
So it's not just about winning, right? Conservatives want to win. What do you know? We need to defeat Justin Trudeau. No. You need to present a vision for Canada that will make Canada better for Canadians. Winning is the means to deliver that plan that will make our lives better. If you just want to win,
we can
to
build
beat the
bridges
guy,
between each other.
That's weird.
We can build the strongest economy in the G7. Canada is a proud nation of builders. And now, in these extraordinary times, it's time to build together. Thank you for your support. Let's go do it.
Okay. So we're going to go to the Q&A section. There was just a little slight difference in French and English. In French, when he was saying we need to build the future together. Bâtissons l'avenir ensemble. And the English translations was just we need to build together. I really hope that the English is let's build the future together, because that is a damn good campaign rallying slogan right there.
Agreed.
So You will notice that over the course of the press conference, he got a little more at ease, right? Because at the beginning was, "Hi, it's really great to be here. My name is," and near the end, when he's making some comments and they're applauding, and it's like, "And we'll build it. We'll build it together, together." So, and he was like leaning more in. You could see his body posture got a little more relaxed, a little more lean in. As whereas before he was like really, really upright. So as it went on, that's the comfort he needs to find more as he's talking. Because when he talks with that degree of comfort, like he did on the Daily Show, it is real, comes across as super authentic and sincere. Like he believes it, and he believes it in his body, because his body is relaxed when he's saying it. Right. So if you watch it, like we've interrupted along the way, so you maybe didn't see the shift along the way when it happened, but there's a point along the way where he becomes less, like gripping the podium. Okay, I'm here to deliver it. And it's like, okay, this is going well. Okay, I can.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he came out with a little bit of anxiety. Who wouldn't?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
dressed in a room full of people for the first time, announcing that you're running for Liberal leader and will be, if elected Liberal leader, you'll be the next prime minister.
I'm a pretty confident person. If I had to stand in front of a mic in front of the whole nation saying I'm running for prime minister, I'd be nervous. I'd be dropping a loaf or two.
Well,
I'd have to go. It's like, you need to speak in 15 seconds. Okay, but first I got to go to the bathroom.
I speak in front of large crowds constantly throughout my entire life. I've worked as an MC, a DJ. I've done conferences and all kinds of stuff. I'd probably be a little bit anxious about announcing what you're about to do. Because you do realize when you announce you're about to run for a political position, your whole life goes under a microscope. Now, in his case, I don't think he's got much to worry about. He's been under a microscope for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to be under the microscope of the public, which is a little bit different than what he's been under. But it's still, I don't think it's that much of a big deal for him in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but I that's the vibe I get. All right, let's go to the Q&A here.
Okay, do you have time to do the Q&A? Because we have a certain...
Oh shit! I didn't realize the time.
Yeah, we're already 2 minutes. So
wrap
maybe we should save the Q&A.
Save that for later.
Yeah, because we're already at 2 hours. But yes, the Q&A is not particularly eventful. There's some good stuff in it, but it's not like he's distancing himself from the prime minister or taking a little jab at Danielle a lot in there. But it's interesting because you're getting some policy content, and again, there's another example of journalists. I don't know what it is lately. I've seen this in a couple of press conferences where a journalist asks the question and the person did answer it. Maybe politician style, went around and all like this, but did answer it. And then the question was like, "So what is the answer then?" It's like, they told you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like the answer was in there if you listen. So there's something again about that one question that was asked that was like, why would you even ask that question? And then certain journalists come back, not like the Pierre Poilievre one where they ask the question, does he support putting energy on the table, and then answers about something else. And it's like, so for clarity, do you put energy? The person actually answered the question. The yes and no was actually in the answer somewhere along the way. It's like, did you not hear it? Or remember that thing when I think it was Douglas Lamont stepped down from the Liberal Party of Alberta, and the journalist was asking him, "So have you thought about something?" It's like, I just said in my step aside speech that I was quitting. Yeah, but did you quit? She was just trying to save it, and it's like the guy's looking at her like, "What planet are you from?" It's like, why are you asking me this question? I literally, the whole purpose of the speech was to say that I'm stepping down. Why are you asking me if I'm clear about whether or not I'm stepping? Yeah, I am.
I am stepping down. This is not a secret. We know this.
So yeah, just a couple of moments of journalists not actually listening for the answer, or not happy that they didn't get the just yes or no, that it was couched in there. So asking again so they can get the more ideal clip, I guess, or something. But when the question is asked twice, and for people who are watching all of it, it gives the impression that it's like, you didn't answer the question. It's like, no, they did.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask someone to expand on their answer or whatnot, or elaborate as a follow-up, but don't frame it as if they didn't answer the question. They did. So So we'll bring you that coming up soon. Now, there's a couple of things I did want to mention to you before we go away, because there has been some rather big news, kits and cubs, particularly out in the Middle East. It looks like there is indeed a ceasefire that is taking place. Started working itself out. Now, apparently, this has sort of been on the table since April or May, going back and forth, but sort of came to fruition now. Probably people wanting to lock a few things in before there's a change in leadership that is not predictable, because people like ceasefires to be predictable.
Yeah.
So, several officials familiar with the matter said that Israel and Hamas were very close to reaching a ceasefire agreement over the course of the weekend. Hamas had reportedly accepted the proposal reached after weeks of talks with mediators in Doha, Qatar. Now, talks had fallen through the cracks several times during the previous year, but officials at that point said that they had never gone into this much detail previously. A spokesperson for the Qatari prime minister said that both parties had overcome major obstacles over the recent days, and that it would be a three-phase plan that would not be implemented immediately, like all at once. So, three-phase plan, and it still required, and it wouldn't be implemented immediately because it still required the approval of the Israeli cabinet, and it could be challenged at the Supreme Court. So it seems that the deal wasn't 100% hammered out when announced by the mediators, and Israel yesterday was claiming that Hamas was introducing new things and reneging on elements of the deal, which everyone assumed were done. Hamas put out a statement, said it was committed to the ceasefire deal as it was negotiated, but Netanyahu's right coalition is very, very hard right, and some of them want to fight until total victory. In fact, for some of them, that's their slogan, and some of the parties are threatening to quit the coalition if the deal goes ahead. So, and of course, that makes Netanyahu nervous, because if there's no reason to keep fighting, well, then he's got more time to go to court to face time for his alleged crimes. But the Israel Security Cabinet was scheduled to meet yesterday morning to approve the ceasefire deal with Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that that meeting had been postponed. Both the government vote and the cabinet meeting had been postponed. But later, yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu announced that the agreement to return Hamas held hostages had been reached, and that it's now a two-step process to secure the Israeli approval has begun. So the country's security cabinet will meet, and then it will be presented to the other government leaders to approve the package. Outgoing U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is confident that the deal will come into force as planned. Quote, "We've worked to broker a deal that would bring hostages home, that will stop the fighting, that will surge humanitarian aid to people who so desperately need it, and that would create the space." And the space to create that will begin. The space to create that will begin on Sunday. The hardline National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has been threatening to quit if the agreement went ahead. So we'll see what that is, what happens there. Relief organizations are preparing once again to assist the thousands of displaced Palestinians. And according to journalist Manon Globinski of Société Radio-Canada, so you mentioned the accord had been circulating in some form since last May, but now made possible due to how weakened Iran is at the moment, with the departure, and then there's the departure of Bashar al-Assad in Syria that changed a lot of things. Hamas also somewhere along the way lost its historical leader. So the anti-Israel axis is considerably weakened. So especially if you consider that Iran is vulnerable by air and can't really rattle sabers as much as it would like to. So with Donald Trump, when he was the president, there were something called, I think they called them the Abraham Accords or something like that. But there were some accords between some of the monarchies in the region, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. And with Iran's lessening influence, it seems that those deals with Israel are probably going to be taking up more room in the geopolitical sphere in that region. So it's a 6 or 7 week ceasefire. About 42 days, but that's the beginning. So it's not a treaty to end the conflict yet, just a ceasefire, 6 weeks, see how it goes. But it is better than when we were. And sometimes a temporary ceasefire leads to a more permanent one. So that's what we'll hope for. But that is the major big thing going on worldwide, in addition to all the stuff that's going on in Canada at the moment. The other main one is that South Korea's suspended president, Yook Suk-yeol, has finally been arrested. Anti-corruption agents were finally able to get through protesters and enter the president's compound to take him into custody. Parliament has already impeached him. A constitutional court can officially kick him out of office. Now that he's been arrested, that process can go ahead. Ironically, the suspended president is now complaining about how the law is being applied, almost like he never tried to impose martial law against the law. He says the anti-corruption agents lack the authority to investigate his actions.
Sure they do. Sure they do. I got something for you.
All right.
Keeping people down and dumb. Representative David Rouser introduces bill to eliminate the Department of Education in the United States of America. Wilmington, North Carolina, Representative David Rouser introduced a bill to the House of Representatives to eliminate the Department of Education on Monday. The bill, titled "To Provide for the Elimination of the Department of Education and Other Purposes," was referred to the House Committee on Education and Workforce. And this is a direct quote from him. "I've introduced the state's Education Reclamation Act in each Congress since I was first elected. Education should be handled at the state and local level without interference from the federal government. This bill takes the funding appropriated to the Department of Education, gets it back to the states to use for teacher pay increases, new schools, and or whatever each individual state needs to enhance education," Rogers said in the statement. Here's the thing about that, though. I guarantee you the states will just not spend any money on schools, books, or teacher pay increases. He's trying to backdoor this shit just like the conservatives did in this country by protecting pregnant women. It's a bullshit thing.
And how much you want to bet that within the Department of Education, there are certain programs that absolutely must exist no matter what. And while you disband the department and say you've disbanded it, all those programs, some of them goes to the Department of the Interior and some of them goes to the other ones. And so you're still paying for them, really. There's just no Department of Education. Just like there's no carbon tax anymore, but you're still paying for it because
keep them stupid.
It's just a hidden tax and you lost your rebate. So a lot of these things, I'm going to eliminate the Department of okay, yeah, you can eliminate a department, but eliminating a department doesn't mean that everything in the department goes. You can slip a couple of things off to a couple of other places and whatnot, and just create the illusion of having eliminated the department.
Well, but if he gives all the control to the states, that means how many schools are going to start to teach Christian religion, Christian theology in public schools?
Oh yeah. They'll that'll be there.
They'll backdoor it, man. They'll backdoor it every chance they get.
Yeah. One little note about the Liberal leadership race, the federal one, because there's a provincial one in Quebec too that we'll talk about next week. Party has released spending rules and says that each candidate can spend up to $5 million on their campaign. So that will be the spending cap there. And after that, let's see, what else do we have? There's one other thing. Oh, yes. By the way, if you are a fan of figure skating, the Canadian National Figure Skating Championships start today. I think around 5 p.m. I'm not sure. Can't remember what city they're being held in for some reason. But it's the juniors have already started a couple of days ago. But the opening of it will be the men's short program. Whatever time, whether that's local time or our time, 5 p.m. The way where it's being held. But if for those of you who are into that, this is the team, the team that will form Team Canada this time around when they go to the World Championships. Will be competing not only for World Championship medals, but how many spots we get in the next Olympics. So it's a big year specifically. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do.
All right, get some cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. Now, if you'd like to support us, make like Kit Lane and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver YouTube page and click our buttons like, share, and subscribe. And I did these things out of order because normally I do our pod page first, thanks to the Ray Girl who sponsors it. So Mr. Grizzly will make a QR code appear. And if you watching and scan that, that will bring you to our page. And if you go and click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you If you're listening, that's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, hyphen between each one of those words. Now, if you'd like to support us in another way, let's say financially, for example, because you think that we've done a very good job these past weeks with all the upheaval, because there's been a lot of news and we've sifted through it. I think we've done a pretty good job at bringing it to you. If you agree and you would like to support us and encourage us to do more, the QR code that Mr. Grizzly will bring up, or maybe it's already there, will bring you to our coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. That's all in one word. And if you go there, you will find our tip jar where you can leave us a little something and say, add a beaver, add a grizzly, keep on doing a good job. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, that's okay, because the gift of your participation and attention are the ones that matter the most to us. And we love to hear from you. So please write to us, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. That's our email address. Or you can reach us at our Blue Sky Beaver Lodge at True Eager, also at the Bad Place at True Eager, Facebook, True North Eager Beaver, or if you are listening here on YouTube, right down in the comments section. Thank you so much for everything. And we love to hear what you say. We're not able to answer necessarily everything, but we do read everything. So thank you so much for your contributions.
Sometimes our responses are quick, but we do try and respond as much as we can, but we read absolutely everything.
Yep. Now, because democracy is something that you do, if you live in the province of Quebec, find out who your nominees are for a Liberal leader. Make sure that you register in that leadership race. If you're there, go and vote. Same thing federally. If you want to vote in the Liberal leadership, you have until the 27th to get your name in. So please do that as well. That's the important stuff. For now, Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Why, yes, I do, sir.
Well,
And
lay
these
it on
words
me,
of
sir.
Wisdom are, you should join us tomorrow for our monthly pubcast.
Oh?
Yes. Tomorrow will be the
You're going to go?
18th. Yeah, 18th of January.
Okay. Okay, because
And
we
we'll
were
have
talking about it
ourselves a
before. We weren't sure.
pubcast. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Pubcast.
Welcome to the place where everyone knows your name, where everyone's your friend, where good times are had by all. Sit back, relax, pour yourself a beverage and enjoy our company. I know we'll certainly enjoy yours. Welcome to the True North Eager Beaver Pubcast. Once a month, we gather at the Lieutenant's Pump at 361 Elgin Street in downtown Ottawa, Canada's capital city, bringing you joy and happiness all day long.
And now I will have joy and happiness all day long.
Indeed, you will,
Podcast
sir.
days tomorrow. It's Pubcast Eve.
Yes. Well, we weren't sure if it was I couldn't do one next weekend, and you were only available next Sunday. So it was really Saturday's best for me. I wasn't, this morning when I first got up, I was like, I don't know if I got the energy to do this. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm feeling energized, and I'm going to get lots of stuff done today. And yeah, we'll have ourselves a podcast tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like an extra dose of Christmas. I love it. Okay, so that's it then. Mr. Grizzly, please, since we're on a good roll, let's cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Kit Environmental Coffee House. Thank you for all the beautiful compliments you've been paying us over the past few weeks. We learn a lot from you too, by the way. So just it's mutual. And just sending a little bit of love to Mademoiselle Fox. I just saw in the chat that she's not feeling.
She's not feeling good. She's probably not going to do a show tonight as a result. So Just letting everybody, giving you the heads up. If she's up for it, we can do one, but I don't think that's going to happen. She's not feeling great this morning. So, yeah, we'll start. Let's aim for 2 p.m. start tomorrow. Does that work for you,
Okay.
sir?
Yep. 2 p.m. start tomorrow.
All right. We'll see you guys 2 p.m. tomorrow.
It's podcast day. It's podcast day tomorrow. You make me so happy.